Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm here with my co-hosts, Duff, Jess, and Jonathan. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
Hello.
Hi.
We know it all.
Everything.
Basically.
That's true. There's a few. Anyways,
On today's show, we will be talking about the last of the announcements and updates, but before we get to that, we do have some stuff to talk about. Not necessarily fun stuff to talk about either. Who wants to do it?
I guess I will. Yeah. So definitely not the most fun. We were given some pretty unfortunate news this past week here. Um, some of you might know Brandon, who would pretty frequently leave us voicemails. Um, the guy who brought Dabble the Abel, always brought the energy. Love y'all like I love y'all. That you guys know him if you listen to the show. Um, we did receive unfortunate news that he has recently passed away in his battle with cancer. Um, so uh, basically, he was important to the show. So we want to dedicate uh, this episode to him, of course, as a minimum thing. Um, but we want to do more than that as well. So first of all, there is a GoFundMe set up by his partner. You can go find that in the show notes. Go to our social medias as well. You can find a link to that. Um, if you can help, please donate. If not, at least share. Obviously, it's a not a cheap experience for a family to go through. So any help would be greatly appreciated. Um, we're also going to set something up ourselves where we are going to take advantage of that Dabble the Able. What's really just a famous line now. It's probably one of the bigger bits that 365 has at this point. So we are going to put that on some buttons. Um, the best way to do this will be to show up to live trivia on August 23rd. And basically, we're going to make those available. 100% of the proceeds will go to his family. We'll probably just stick it right back into the GoFundMe to be as transparent about as we can. But yeah, so we just want to help. So if you want to dabble the able button, I think we're probably going to go with any donation $5 and up. We'll get you one of those buttons. So you'll get a really cool piece of what he helped create here on 365, as well as help his family out through a really tough situation. I know we're all pretty distraught about this. The group chat was not um, doing too well for a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, as far as people who are involved with 365 in any way go, Brandon was very important and always brought the mood up when he called in. So he'll definitely be very missed by everyone on this show. And no, I just hope the best for his family. Hope everything goes well with the situation that this has kind of left them in.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be honest. When I found out, it was a shock. Like obviously we met him at trivia, and he was just as fun at trivia as he was um every time he calls in. And I don't I don't know. Like I think when we created the show, it was it's just so shocking to us that we would have people that we would call in and interact with us. And that's why we created the voicemail, and that's why we created the show. And he was one of the few people who would we have a number of them, but he was definitely one of the most active. That every time he would call in, he would just really brighten up the mood of the show, and fit what we were trying to create here with our lightheartedness and irreverence. It fitted perfectly, and he caught on to that, I think, really well. So it's hard. It's really hard to have someone who is such a big part of our show and of our community, not just the HHN community, but the HHN 365 community, to
Mhm.
find out that he was struggling, and that he passed. It was hard to hear.
Yeah. We say horror fan, but that's like legitimately what everybody becomes. Like, especially the people who call in, like Brandon. Like, every time I saw his number pop up, because like I'm the one that pulls the voicemails, I wouldn't tell the guys, but I'd be like, "Oh, our friend is back today. We're gonna get a good voicemail." And like, I almost wish I could have made like a montage for this episode, but it really rocked all of us when we found this out, like this week. So I personally, we're gonna talk about the house, but when I go through the weekend house in Hollywood, I know Brandon's gonna be with us. So
Mm.
Absolutely. What a fitting episode to dedicate to him too, considering what we're gonna talk about today that involves the weekend. But he was such a bright light in the community. Every time he talked on the podcast and in person, you could never tell he was struggling because he was always so happy, so upbeat, always so funny. He made us laugh every single time he was on the episode. He was such a amazing person, amazing person to be on the to talk on the show, to talk with in person. It's really sad, and I hope that the GoFundMe and everything can help the family in this really tough time right now.
And then just to add on to what Mike said, we can definitely confirm what you heard in the voicemails was not a persona. That was him in person.
yeah,
So if I know anything from interacting with him, is he wouldn't want this to be a somber episode dedicated to him. He probably wants us to bring the same energy he would, especially talking about one of his favorite IPs possible at Horror Nights. So let's try our best not to bring the mood down because he would want the exact opposite, and I
Yeah,
know
I think
that
the
based
somber
off
is
who
Right.
he
about to
was.
the somber is about to stop.
So
And you'll get the
yeah,
same, irreverence and lightheartedness coming because I think that's what Brandon would have wanted.
hmm
But I think it's something we had to address out out the gate, and then we can he would want us to um, not be sad for too long on the show.
yeah, definitely. But before we turn up the energy, remember there is a GoFundMe posted in the episode notes as well as throughout our social media. That'll bring you to be able to help out his family through this tough time. But other than that, let's bring that energy up and let's talk about an event that Brandon was definitely excited for, and we enjoyed meeting him at last year, which is HHN 365 Live Trivia. Again, it'll be Friday, August 23rd. Uh, I can tell you we have started seeing that beer come to life that we are brewing. You can go check out our Twitter for a sneak peek at that. It's looking a little bloody, if you will.
Mm.
Uh, Working out some final kinks on a special menu, which I know last time was enjoyed very much, and I think we're going to crank it up a bit this year to make it a little more catered towards the event that we're at. And then also, I'm happy to announce we are bringing back the costume contest that we had at the spring HHN 365 live trivia. So come dressed as your favorite HHN character. Uh, we have fun with it. We're going to march you around and we're going to pick a winner. That winner will get a prize. So come dressed in your best and see if you can get the top spot. And then also, we are so happy to work with Horrors Untold for this year's fall HHN trivia. Check them out at horrorsuntold.com. You're going to want to sign up for that email. I promise you, it's something super unique that as an HHN fan you'll love. It's a first of a kind immersive mystery created by HHN fans for HHN fans. So don't miss out on that. But you'll be hearing more about them as the weeks go on and into live trivia, of course.
All right, moving on to it looks like we have some Beijing news. I think
Not
this might be the first time we've ever talked about Universal Beijing on the show.
yeah, not normal for the show. Obviously, they don't have a Halloween Horror Nights, but last year they had an event called Scares at Universal, which was kind of working towards a Horror Nights type event. And while it doesn't seem we have Horror Nights this year, none of us are sure. We can't read Mandarin, so can't confirm yet. But Jack the Clown will be at Universal Beijing Resort this year, which was released in a video teaser. A very cool video teaser, by the way. Um, so even if it's just going to be kind of that smaller Scares at Universal event, it's really cool to see Jack make his way over to Beijing.
I think you mentioned in the Discord, Duff, that Jack doesn't make it to every I'm gonna say Halloween Horror Nights, but we're not sure exactly what it is just yet. But Jack doesn't go around every resort, that
Uh,
has some sort of
yeah,
Halloween event.
he is missing Japan so far.
So one
So,
more. Yeah.
You know?
Very interesting. That's cool. I think this is a really cool thing, and I'm excited to see how it's actually implemented into their whatever their Halloween event ends up being this year.
definitely. Now, we'll take it back home and come to Orlando, where there are some spoilers to look out for. I don't know who wants to discuss those because I personally want to stay away from spoilers.
Ahem.
Thank you very much.
Ahem. I can't avoid anything, especially when social media doesn't fucking hide it. So USA Today released an article last week, and if you haven't seen it, you're very lucky. If you're like me, it was the first thing Twitter showed you when you opened it. And it showed us two rooms from Slaughter Cinema 2. Two movies that, well, actually, one movie that had already been announced, and one movie that we hadn't heard about. So I would avoid that. It showed multiple angles and multiple rooms. And then it also listed all 8 films that are in the movie or in the house, excuse me. So avoid that like the fucking plague if I were you. And then avoid people on Twitter that have a first complex.
And it was, I mean, this was a couple days before Unmasking the Horror started,
Mm-hmm.
which technically is today as we're recording this. So it was a complete shock to everyone. No one was expecting house spoilers to be just on the timeline
Yeah.
before unmasking. And that was, I think, one of the main problems, that it was just like, surprise, no warning, here's a bunch of pictures. And if you didn't catch it immediately, you would have been spoiled. Like it would have just happened so easily, so quickly.
Yep.
Mhm.
And USA Today did not, like, they were not the one sharing these. The images were inside the article. People were pulling the images from the article and posting them on social media without
No,
the
no
article.
spoilers, no
No spoiler
blurring
tag,
the
Yeah.
nothing.
images.
Not a single thing.
And I was also burned on the USA Today photos. Luckily, only from like one of the sets of photos. I don't want to ruin it, of course. One set of photos, very much not a major spoiler, but I still would have preferred not to see it.
Yeah.
But of course, as you mentioned, Unmasking the Horror has now also started at this point, where people are spoiler tagging for the most part, which is very nice. I just do want to put out a warning that if you use Twitter on desktop, the spoiler tag does not work.
Yeah.
So if you're going to scroll through your timeline and you don't want spoilers, stick to mobile. Also learned that if it's the recommended tweets under a tweet, if it has a spoiler tagged tweet, it is also not spoiler tagged even on mobile. So
Oh.
maybe don't scroll to the bottom of tweets and look at the recommended tweets after that, because that's how I got burnt on another thing today. So
Also, don't go to Facebook at all because nobody in any of those groups has like blurred a single fucking thing from unmasking today.
oh well, I'm in luck 'cause I don't go there
Right.
anyways.
Every time I've opened Facebook today, which is not often, but when I have, there has been multiple images from triplets,
Hmm.
which has been the one that has been spoiled the most for me at this point because that's the one that had the most pictures and unmasking.
I will say one thing I've liked about this. Sorry, go ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, I was gonna add on to the what to avoiding social media. I have one more. If anyone you like is posting these on Instagram, which I haven't seen any yet, thank goodness, but I'm trying to avoid that platform too. That platform you can't really spoiler tag things either.
Mm.
Even if the first image says like warning spoilers and the next one has a spoiler, the minute your feed refreshes and it shows the picture again, it will go immediately to the spoiler picture. So
Yeah,
Instagram's another platform that you probably want to avoid, because if people are posting there, if you follow people who are, posting the spoilers there, which I'm sure if it didn't happen today, it will happen eventually. There's gonna be many more tours until the event starts. Maybe try to avoid that platform as much as you can. Same with Facebook, like Jess was saying.
definitely not a bad idea. But what I was going to say is that one good thing I've gotten out of this is that everyone who's experienced it, it's getting me more excited because they're saying some really good things about houses that maybe you were less hyped about, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost getting me more excited for the event, hearing these kind of spoiler-free experience reviews of Unmasking the Horror.
That's
Yeah. So
absolutely a benefit. For there's 3 houses on the tour. It's Slaughter, Triplets, and Museum, and there's some that like Duff was alluding to, not a lot of people were super excited for. It's like maybe, maybe we should start getting excited for, which is, I mean, that's always fun. That's exciting.
Hmm. Definitely. Look, it brought us something good after all.
It did. It did. But should we talk about some of the specifics though about Unmasking the Horror that I think is kind of really interesting? And we were kind of speculating, right, about what was this going to be? Because this is an early look at the houses. This is the first time they've ever done this to the general public. So, what is this going to be about? What's happening here?
Mhm.
Um, well, guests are allowed to take pictures in the houses. It is not like obviously it's not phones down. They can take pictures. Um, that's not something to worry about. However, the pictures are more limited than usual. I have a friend who just did the tour today, and they had a great time. They had a lot of fun. The problem is that they didn't get to take as many pictures compared to previous tours. So obviously it wasn't a problem for them because they were there for the, seeing the houses early and whatever. But if you do go for those early tours just for taking pictures, like that is your goal for Unmasking the Horror, like I want to get as many pictures as possible, you're not really going to get that with these. You're still going to get a lot of pictures, but not as many as you usually do. And I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if when the event like opens up, like actually is officially open, they allow you to take more. I don't know for sure, but it feels like it's limited right now because it's so early.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're
I'd
probably
imagine.
worried about what's gonna get out. I mean, I don't know if they're actually worried, but it was also interesting because every person I saw that went on a tour, their guide made it a fact to point out that Blood Day had not happened yet.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And like,
And
yeah, we knew
and
that.
that props and sets are not
Yeah.
completed.
Things were wrapped still in some of the pictures I saw in the houses, like in plastic. So
Yeah.
this is like a I almost wish that they had approached unmasking like pre-event as like a different form of unmasking, like marketed it differently, whatever, maybe even charge like a little bit more of a premium than the normal tours to be like, hey, step into the house while we're still going through our
Hmm.
process.
Like
And
hard
then
hats on kind of deal.
yeah, and kind of like take it kind of that aspect almost. I think that could be interesting.
That would have been a better
That'd be unique.
sell.
Yeah, I like that. I wouldn't have done it still, but it's cool.
Right. But then you know what you're getting. Because
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
didn't do that this time.
Yeah. And I think if you paid for this and you're expecting to get to take all the photos you typically do, and without telling you, you get to take less, I'd be personally a
Mhm.
little disappointed by that. I do think that is a bit unfair to the people who are doing it. Obviously, selfishly, I kind of appreciate it, but it is unfair to those who are experiencing it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree. It should have at least been like as a warning, like, hey, because it's limited, photos are going to be limited as well. They should have just had some little, disclaimer there. I'm kind of, I'm upset for the people who did go and that was their goal, and they're
Hmm.
they end up not taking as many pictures. That sucks. It really sucks because you're paying the same price. You're paying the
Yeah.
same price. Obviously it's date by date, but you're still paying the general same price as most people are later in the season. And it should have been known. Like it should have just been said by Universal. I don't know why there wasn't just a little disclaimer there. That would have honestly solved a lot of the only problem here. It's just some I just some transparency about what this actually is
Hmm.
and what you're going for.
Yeah. I did
100%.
like the lanyards though.
They
Did
were
look
cool.
good.
That's the spoiler I saw. I saw the lanyards.
Yeah. The lanyards are cute. They're following the motif of the year, but I like that. The synergy.
I will say we've seen now that that's popped up. Well, there was something else. The sling, the cup
Oh,
sling.
I love it.
They have that aesthetic, so that is absolutely like that atomic goth that they're calling it is our aesthetic for the year for sure. I think there will be like a separate, like secondary aesthetic that'll appear on other merch too, but like that's our event aesthetic for sure.
What yeah, do you guys think that'll be on the house shirt then too?
I think that's probably a pretty good bet.
Because I
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know. I don't know if I got the house shirt last year because it did it follow that like red and teal aesthetic still?
It was more like the like red purple
Oh yeah, like the team member shirt.
like yeah.
Okay. So still like in the vein of HHN.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
I kind of hope that we get the neon
Oh,
instead.
I'd be all for. I think that could be a badass house shirt.
Yeah, on a black shirt. We're not getting crazy here. No
No,
orange shirts
black
for the
shirt.
house shirt. Yeah.
Listen, I want you
Calm
to
down.
branch out, but a house shirt is a black shirt.
Don't you fucking touch that
Stick
house
to
shirt.
it.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
But there is more news about HHN coming up, specifically for the tribute store, because they've now put out the A-frame informing us that we can put our face inside of the tribute store. Of course, this is not a new concept at this point. I will say this is a very different execution as far as HHN goes, because it doesn't feel very HHN, the items they're putting in.
Yeah, that was my first thought as well. That was absolutely my first thought.
hmm
So we
so, yeah, you go ahead, break it
Yeah,
down.
let's just get right into the products, right? So instead of the photo, usually there's like photo frames, and that's what they are. And there's different types of things. There was actually comics last year, I think.
hmm
They had a lot of different types of things, but this year they're kind of physical items in which they're products, aka prop containers, and you can put yourself into one of four prop containers or products for $89. And the options are Eddie's Crate of Flavor. Yes, Eddie with the chainsaw is on the box. So I mean, it says Eddie and then has a chainsaw on it, so it's referring to Eddie. And it says real meat in quotation marks in a box. And then you have Cretaceous oil, a multi-purpose oil used for dishwashing, but not cars.
Not
Uh,
cars.
not cars. Uh, Gerg's llama beans, now with special ham and pineapple lumps. And then Earl's coffee beans, a unique blend of over 20 plus nuts, and then in parentheses, and coffee. And then in addition to all of these items, you also get a 24 by 36 poster with every purchase that is basically a poster celebrating all of the tribute stores of the past. I'm sure we're going to talk about that in more detail as well, but it has like so many different Easter eggs filled in there. Like that poster alone, I'm not going to get it's too much money for me, but that poster is I buy that separately because that looks really, really good.
Oh yeah. Is it bad that I actually would consider spending $89 on this
Just
thing
for the
that I don't
poster.
care about at all? Yeah, just for the poster.
Yeah.
Because I really don't care about the putting my face on stuff thing.
You
But
would actually rather not have your face on
yeah,
something
okay,
and still get the poster.
I will actually just give you $90 for the poster. Can we
Yeah.
do that? Is that okay?
It's just a blank thing of whatever you pick, and
Yeah,
it's
I
just
will
we're
take a
done.
blank Eddie's Crate of Flavor. Thank you very much.
Duff, you were
But
bringing it up though.
mm,
Like all these, there's only one item that screams HHN, and that's
yeah,
Eddie's Creative Flavor. But then there's two items here that are specifically characters that are not HHN related at all, and that does kind of, once again, we're getting the poster with a billion references, so might not matter too much. But yeah, they don't. It's kind of weird. You'd think for the HHN tribute store, like they'd have more references to icons or even little Boo or whatever, but these are interesting choices.
I think it's very apparent that with what the tribute stores have become, they're kind of taking on their own universe, basically. So I think we've hit the point where you're going to see references to every type of tribute store in every tribute store.
Mhm.
It's just where we're at. Again, these are tiny things. They aren't going to be like overtly in your face. So I'm not too concerned that it's just going to be Earl plastered everywhere in an HHN tribute store, and it's going to feel more like Easter eggs than anything. So if it ever does get to the point where it's just kind of Earl all over the fucking place, then I'm going to be a little annoyed. Not going to lie.
Do you get to pick which thing you are?
Yep, you get the
Oh.
choice.
Well, I would hope that for the HHN store, everybody would pick Eddie.
You would think so.
Yeah. So is the Cretaceous one a nod to anything?
I
I
want to say it is. I feel like I've seen Cretaceous oil. Like I think it's a recurring
Okay.
product that appears. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I knew the other three.
Does anyone have like a favorite Easter egg on that poster? Because like the first thing that
Oh,
came to mind was the for me was the 2020 tribute store facade, like in
Mhm.
the
hmm
I think it's the left corner there. I was like, oh my god, yes, when I saw that.
There was something I saw that made me go, ooh, and now I can't remember what it is.
I mean, there is a lot, like a lot. Um, I don't want to be boring, but I think I have the same favorite one as you, Jonathan. I think I love that tribute store facade so much
Hmm.
that it might be my pick.
Oh,
I don't know.
That's a fair pick.
it's got all the tribute stores from the last couple of years.
Yeah, it does. It
I
does.
kind of okay. So I remember the part that made me go ooh. One, the dark red car, but
Mhm.
then two, the like gear and the lightning, like the Tesla coil
Yep.
thing
Oh yeah, yeah.
from the Frankenstein room, the bride room. That one made me go, oh my god.
Mm. There's too many to pick from. I give up.
Oh, I love it.
No answer. It's cool. I like them all. How about that?
Oh, I know what my favorite one is. The fact that you can see the little Macy's facade at the bottom
Oh yeah.
Oh,
of
that
what
is
it
cool.
is when it's not the tribute store. I think that is probably the coolest nod for me.
That is a nice touch. I like that a lot.
Mike, did you see that poster? Like, it just looks so. It looks so fucking good.
Yeah, no, love the poster. I love the aesthetic of the poster. I don't want to be boring and choose what you guys chose for the Easter eggs, but yeah, um that tribute store definitely my favorite.
Hell yeah, I love that. So, are we ready to move on? Oh my god, I'm excited for this. I know Jess, you're excited for this too. I'm pretty sure everyone's excited for this part.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool overall.
It's
I
really
told you so, Jonathan.
okay.
I'm just gonna
For
keep saying it.
we still haven't covered all Hollywood yet, and I think we're gonna talk about that because Hollywood's. I think I still have the same problem. Um, but we just got every couple of weeks we're getting a podcast based on one of the houses, and for podcasts that have like full on stories, it's always been the originals. And Quiet Place, which was an IP, got like a full on just detailed breakdown from one of the creators of it, right? Um, this is the first time we're getting an IP podcast that has a story, not just like a detailed breakdown, spoilers, whatever. This is just a legit this is just a legit story like the other originals have had, and that is Universal Monsters: Eternal Bloodlines.
Mm,
And
Yeah.
mm. It was so well written.
yeah, what do we want to say about it? Because there are like some interesting things in here that could technically be spoilers.
Yeah, yeah. I think the best way to put it without spoiling it, of course, if you want to, you can go listen to wherever you listen to podcasts for Discover Universal or on YouTube. They post it as well. Um, but the best way to put it, I think, is basically it's kind of the backstory of how we get to the point of Saskia and the bride working together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably the safest way to leave it without spoiling anything. I don't know if anyone else thinks anything's a safe ad, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of that's really fun
Yeah.
detail.
I don't want to touch it. It's
Like
it all.
a
Yeah.
lot of it could have nothing to do with the house itself. Again, it's kind of like lining up the house, but a lot of it could pop back up as an important part potentially.
I think what we got is more than backstory. I think that we got probably chunks between scenes in the house.
I could definitely see some of those scenes popping up in some
Yeah.
way, and I
Yeah.
hope some do because there's some fucking fun, intense scenes in here.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing I would be like comfortable saying, but I don't know if again that's too much of a spoiler, is it gives us a little bit of context on how.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
it.
All
On
like it,
how.
it describes why they're all there.
Yeah, how their paths cross.
Yeah, kind of
And yeah.
going back to like how Jonathan was not too pleased with Hollywood's potential concept for why this is happening. This one does clear that up for you a lot, doesn't it?
It really does for Orlando's version. Um, I without saying much, it looks like Orlando and Hollywood are almost going completely different routes. Just based on a lot of the yes scenarios and locations in this particular podcast compared to what we've seen at a Midsummer Scream for Murdy's version of the house. It looks like we're going in different, like completely different routes, which is, I guess, usual for how we usually do our monster houses. But at least for Orlando, I'm very happy that they gave a reason. Not going to say the reason, but they gave a reason. It makes sense. It helps the story of both characters. And Bride does not feel forced. It feels like everyone belongs there. Every single monster belongs in the house. There's a reason for every single one. And I'm very, very pleased, and it honestly has helped hype for this house a lot, because after Murdy's Midsummer Scream panel, in terms of that particular element of the reason Bride was there, I started to get worried, and I'm still worried for theirs. To be clear, I'm very worried for theirs, because while our podcast gave a legit reason and it gave like made sense and a motive and this and that, Murdy's motive was, hey, why is Bride here? I don't know. That's what she was doing in the last house, so she's here, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I'm glad, at least on Orlando's side, we have more context, and I hope on Hollywood's, Murdy's was leaving out some details that would help his version of the house as well.
Hmm. Does everyone kind of agree that this made them more excited for this house? Like, I wasn't down on this house, don't get me wrong, but it definitely also amped up my excitement a bit too. This was such a well written and told story. Apparently, shouts out to Ramon, as he's the one who wrote this. So,
That
uh,
makes sense.
phenomenal job. And I don't know if you guys feel the same about that too. I know Jonathan just said he is.
I mean, I didn't think it was possible for me to get more excited about this house, but this just kind of solidified my placement on hype for this. I
Mhm.
think it's the best podcast we've gotten, and I feel like I keep saying that this year.
Yeah, this I think this one actually like clearly is the best because
Yeah.
not only is it like a fun story that kind of lives in that world, it really, really sets this up. Like it's like, oh, this is actually important to the house. Holy shit. It's not just like a one-off story within where we're gonna be. It's the house. That's what it is. Obviously, there's a lot coming after in the house, but it really sets it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear it. I have not got to hear it yet, so you guys are really selling it.
Oh yeah. And I think it's
You gotta
you're in for a treat. It's also, I believe, the longest one so far.
listen.
So grab some popcorn, have a seat.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
as
a
soon
good
as we're done
listen.
recording, I'm gonna turn it on and lay in my bed and fall asleep listening to it.
Hell yeah. Uh, but we'll move on from that, and we're going to go into the park itself, where we're going to talk about the construction updates we've seen. I think the biggest thing that's popped up since we've last talked is the food booths that have popped out. We've now received 5 of them total, which is
I,
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think last time we talked, the Ghostbusters ones were out, right?
Yes.
So now we've added the 2 on the other side of Gramercy Park,
Yep.
which I I don't know what they really are supposed to represent fully. I don't know if anyone has a guess. They
No.
look great, but I don't know what the fuck they mean.
I I just guessed that. I mean, I think we all guessed that the what is it, the Tiny Tots Live or whatever the fuck it's called
Hmm.
was for triplets because we don't know anything besides it's a birthday party.
Fair.
But I don't know. And the fucking what is it, the Twilight Tavern?
Hmm.
What are these?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think maybe people who did unmasking today might have more of an idea potentially now. I prefer they don't
Mm.
tell me, but they might have more of an idea now than we do. I could see it being triplets just because about the rumors of where this took place and what it's about, that both of them could fit in that world. But without any
Yeah.
context, it's kind of like, what is this? You look great, but I don't know what the fuck you are.
It was also weird because I was in the park almost every day this past week finally, and they didn't have like planters out in front of the food booths at first. And then the last day I went, they had like 4 or 5 planters in front of each food booth. Like, nothing to see here.
Nope, there's nothing back here. I
And just like,
swear.
okay. So like our construction update videos started getting weird because it was like me trying to fight the trees. So I have no idea what those are, but we also got Insidious one.
Yeah, I messed up my count. We have 6 because I forgot about Insidious. Which,
it's very easy to forget about Insidious.
listen, I
I've never
think
had
again,
4.
it still looks good in the sense that there is a lot of detail on this, but it's also just kind of like says Insidious. Well, it doesn't just say Insidious, it also says face your demons, which I'm sorry.
What
To put that on
demons?
a food booth, come on.
Yeah.
What demons are you gonna get after you eat the Insidious food? Oh my god.
Hopefully not the same demons from the Carnival dog.
Or the stomach ache from the oh my god, the Stranger Things
Oh
drink
god,
that
it
was
was in the
in there.
same spot too.
It
Oh
was in the
no.
same
Peanut
spot.
butter and jelly.
The
My
peanut butter
my
and jelly alcohol.
my tummy gurgle demons are back. The bubble guts demon. Oh.
oh god.
But again, cool details. There's like the claw marks. It's weathered nicely. The red door looks good. Like it still looks really good. It's just kind of like IP here. Nothing unique or fun about it. Just there it is.
Not like the Ghostbusters ones, which are actually fun.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
It's not like the Ghostbusters booth just says Ghostbusters, like it's just a location from Ghostbusters. But Insidious, what location could they have put that people would have understood it was Insidious? It would just have to be the main house, right? Like,
I
I
guess
didn't
so.
I didn't think we were gonna get a fucking Insidious food booth.
No, yeah, I would have never expected it to be honest. Like they don't typically just like represent every IP with a food booth,
No.
and that feels like one of the IPs that wouldn't be. Here we
Blumhouse
are.
was like, put us everywhere.
Listen, I'm not going to complain because all the booths really do look like they've taken another step this year. They look phenomenal. They're like
Yeah.
fucking mini house facades. They're crazy.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a funny choice, especially the face your demons part. I laugh every time I see it. I
Yeah.
can't help it. It's just, it's kind of ridiculous.
I guess I ignored that part because I know it's on there, but I don't remember that.
Oh, as you should.
No,
You
I'm
should.
good. I'm so good.
Then we're going to move all the way across the park to the lagoon side, like right by the Amity restrooms, where we have what permits would tell us is a Goblin's Feast booth, which, if you listen to us, you know the second that was announced, we said we want a Goblin's Feast booth. We want Goblin's Grog and turkey legs, or human legs, I guess, in their case, and we might be fucking getting it because this is a Goblin's Feast booth.
Yeah. Crazy. It looks
And
really good.
yeah, I was gonna say you'll never believe what I'm gonna say, but it looks really good. It's detailed.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
I'm happy we're getting a Goblins. Like, I know we knew before because of permits, but just seeing it is like, yeah, this booth. I feel like it's gonna have some good items here.
Now, what beer do they serve as a Goblin's Grog? That's the question. Hopefully their own. Not their own, but hopefully someone brews them a Goblin's Grog. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll keep my hopes up. Why not? I've been crushed before. HHN food. And then let's move on to what we're seeing in the scare zones, where in Swamp, listen, it's just getting more details all the time. They've added gators now on top of one of the set pieces. They've added in fucking airboat. Details galore. Like everything, every inch of fence and lamppost and everything is just covered in literally junk. Like that's what it is. Uh, it's it's gonna be a super immersive zone when it's got its show lighting on. I'll tell you that. Blumhouse, basically the same as last time we talked about it. They've added a black phone onto one of like the Blumhouse wallpaper set pieces. I think that's it.
They took away the barrels.
They took away the barrels. That is true.
They turned the lockers.
Oh, they did. That's right.
They were a
Big
different
update.
way. And then the footers of the trussing in Blumhouse, like on Friday, I think, got like these big boxes around them because they did not have those before.
Mm.
So the walkway is much smaller now.
Oh, Blumhouse and in San Francisco and at the same time.
Yep, and the house potentially exiting.
What a fantastic combination of things. I'm sure nothing can go wrong.
We're gonna
No,
die.
no. Let's move on to Torture Fair, where we really saw the main two pieces out, the stage and that booth. They've just added a lot more. The stage itself is going to have kind of that backdrop you'll see in the key art of Sinister's face as like the backdrop for the stage. And they've actually started to make it look more like weathered and real. It still has like that fake Ren Fair look to it,
Yeah.
but a little bit more realism added now. So nice
It's
touches that I think people appreciate.
still gonna look shitty, guys. Don't get upset. That's what it's
Yeah.
supposed to look like.
I
But
actually really like how it looks right now.
I
it looks
do
cool.
too. I think
looks
with the
cool.
lighting and everything, it's gonna be good. For me, the most exciting thing is the fact that that stage, the front center panel, is a grate. And they have
Mm,
not put any flooring on it yet, so I'm expecting rubber flooring, and we're gonna get sprayed with water
yep.
or some kind of blood gag.
Yep.
And that's fucking exciting.
And the booth that's in the same exact spot you would have seen that like food booth from Vamp 69. Very similar layout. They've actually just kind of covered it now in I don't know, like a curtain, I guess is what you'd call it. So not too much else going on. They've added some like paint details around the outside to make it again more like weathered and realistic looking. So yeah, I think while we're not seeing much, and we might not because parade, it's looking good what we got so far.
Yeah,
Demon Queens, nothing.
We got no 2 trusses and a fog machine.
Oh, we did get the fog machine.
Yep, 2 trusses and a fog machine.
Didn't
See,
we
now
already have?
I'm going to the park
Wait,
too.
didn't we
So
already have the trusses?
no, the trusses came on Friday. We'd already recorded.
Oh, I thought we already talked about them.
No, I go by based on when they went on the TikTok,
Smart.
and we
Smart.
hadn't.
But the fog machine definitely new. So we
That's-
are
yeah.
hey, we have a couple of those now. I did miss one in Torture Fair that's by the stage as well. So we have a couple fog machines out at this point, which is nice. But I think that's literally it, right? That's all we have now.
Yeah, that's
Thought so. And then Production Central, of course, Duality of Fear. The stage is staging. They put the stairs next to it so the performers can climb up there. It's the platform that it was last year.
Bet you it's gonna say Halloween Horror Nights on it.
I'm not taking that bet.
Oh well, I'm gonna win. So
Now, in Swamp, Blumhouse, and Torture Fair, you can see lighting tests on certain nights, so that is fun as well. Uh, Nothing that really gives anything away, just kind of the lighting that's on the ground. Kind of give you an idea of maybe the aesthetic a bit more, but that's about it. The colors, but yeah, it's always cool to see that because it's like, holy shit, this is real. It's about to happen.
yeah, you're just in the park, waiting for, sensational or whatever, and then it's like, hey, look, Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, that'd be wild to just walk through like, oh my god, lighting for an event that isn't open yet. So
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm. Now, if you go to Sahara Traders, which, if you don't know, is the gift shop that you would exit out of when you're leaving the Mummy, uh, they're dropping some tribute store hints in there potentially. I would assume because there's a bottle that has the tribute store logo on it, like just that generic
Mhm.
tribute store TS. Um, and they've added a lot, like newspapers, signs, idols, props,
Yeah,
kind of
love
all
it.
over
Oh,
a kind of a contained
cage.
area, but yeah. And they're updating the newspaper weekly.
Mhm. Yeah.
It sounds like it could be tribute store related potentially. Um, if it had to do anything with the event, it seems maybe museum related esque. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people would kind of get like Boris type vibes out of it, even.
Well, there's a crate that says Carrie and Fathom Corp, and
Hmm.
like
Yeah, Easter eggs galore too.
we can't ignore that stuff.
No, definitely not. So whether like it's the direct typical like tribute store hints like that we usually get in the tribute store itself, not sure, but it has to have something to do with it, right?
Oh, it has to. Absolutely.
So I'm excited to see what that comes out to. Because if you're nerdy like us and you like those small details, they're there for you. You can go sit and actually read for a while. There's a lot, so they put a lot of detail in those.
I do
Um,
love the Depths of Fear
oh,
Easter egg. I always
shocker, you
appreciate those.
you love Fathom Corp?
Oh, absolutely.
Who would have thought?
Absolutely.
And then one last thing about construction is something that you probably won't see yourself, but if you follow Bio Reconstruct on Twitter, you will. Of course, he gets the aerial shots of the parks. This time we saw Sprung Tents 3 and 4, representing Goblin's Feast and Universal Monsters. We previously talked about Goblin's Feast having the actual built out facade, which still kind of looks a little small for the space, but whatever. It looks cool if there's detail. I'll take it. Universal Monsters, on the other hand, just has a vinyl. Not just a vinyl that only basically goes over the door. And it looks very minuscule. compared to the size of the tent. So
Hopefully,
that would lead. Oh, you're gonna say what I'm gonna say, so go ahead.
oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean that probably means, considering every other monster house that we've had in this universe of monsters has had the same thing. It has the vinyl facade, and then you walk in and it has a gorgeous indoor facade. And I would not be surprised and shocked. Actually, I'm really expecting it that this would have the same, considering all the other monster houses have had the same. And so I'm expecting a really good indoor facade with, controlled lighting, and we know where the setting of this house will be, and the time period, the season, and I'm expecting some good things with that. So I get, especially due to this house taking place in a certain season, they kind of don't want it to be outside. It probably works better for an indoor facade, but yeah, I'm excited to potentially see one if it ends up having a good grand facade, which I'm sure it will.
Hmm. I mean, when
Has
that's the
to.
exterior, history would tell us there's gonna be a real facade, an interior facade.
Mm-hmm.
My complaint is, and granted, it might not be done. I hope it's not done. Why is it only Dracula's daughter?
Hmm. Yeah. So I'm also hoping that they kind of go in blocks and that more comes out
Yeah,
of it.
because that's not giving us the whole story, respectfully.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Pride fan first.
If it does stay that,
It's weird.
interesting choice. Very interesting choice.
Yeah, especially considering like the way that the house announcement, the podcast, like Saskia is the lead character from what we've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like, so I don't know, just weird.
Wait, they're not
Well,
on there? I didn't like take a super good look at it. I just expected it was just the key art. They're
I'm
not.
pretty sure it's just the bride of or the daughter of Dracula, right? From what we
Oh,
can see.
oh, damn. Yeah, I didn't really look at it that deep. I'm just like, oh, it's the art. Wow, that's an
Yeah.
interesting. It has to expand then, right? It has to. There's no
I
way
mean, even
that's
if you
it.
take that aspect out of it, it still feels like it has to expand because it just looks. It's very weird placement.
It's not
It,
finished. Oh, I
like,
guess I see. Is that Saskia's on the front? I do see her.
oh well, maybe not then.
But
Uh,
I don't know. It's like her legs are cut off. It's like the key art without. Oh, maybe Bride is there. Bride's behind the truss. I wasn't looking close enough. All right, resume. Crisis averted. I get. Never mind. But I think it's done because that is the main key art.
Yeah, I guess
I think
unless they
that's it.
like just black out the rest of it with vinyl,
I don't know. No, they're not
which I
gonna.
don't think they'll do.
No. Well, at
Uh,
least I looked closer this time.
hey, all that really matters is the interior facade, so
That.
that's fine.
That part.
All right, let's move on from construction. Who wants to bring us into the most exciting,
Oh my God, Twisted
full
Arrow.
sarcasm, most exciting announcement of the night?
I will. Let's get it out of the way. We got our last Scare Zone announcement for Orlando.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Kind
Yay!
of.
10:33 in the morning because we got to go back to some sort of consistency, I guess. So enter the Blumhouse. Shocking. We did not know that was coming to San Francisco at all. The description: escape a terrifying gauntlet of Blumhouse characters, from sinister sadists from The Purge and Black Phone to Megan dancing into your nightmares. You've never known horror like
Yes, I have. I've seen all
Yeah,
of these characters.
I definitely know
this.
horror like this quite well, actually. I will say they are nightmares. I have nightmares about stuff like this coming to the event. So
Selfie zone.
I am, and seeing it like the way it's being built out, it's
Mm.
exactly what you'd expect it to be. It's a soulless IP dump. Like if it's a single IP, you can really create an immersive feel. You can't do it when it's just a bunch of different movies. It just doesn't work. And I no excitement at all for this. I know some people are stoked, and I'm happy they are. I could care less about this existing, and it's in my least favorite scare zone. So,
And it will likely block traffic and actually
Mhm.
like hinder us. Like we'll have to
hmm
go around it or some way, because it's actually going to affect. Like it's not just like, oh, just if you don't like something, just don't avoid it or whatever. You can't. It's it will actually affect the path you need to walk to get to the other houses.
Boy, I hope I don't want to go in sweets much this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
I will say, I hope they build a stage for the Megans to put on their show and like actually give them set times.
Mm.
Maybe like put it back far back, like further back than the where the Conjuring show was, like even further back. Um, then maybe we can actually get to see the Megan show and not have to like stand on a trash can or whatever.
There's already a projector tower there right now. There's a big tall truss with a projector on it where that
Mm.
stage was.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
damn
So
it.
I don't think Megan will be on the floor. I think she will be up on the house sets.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I don't see her unless has a dedicated like attendant with her.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
I
I
doubt
wish
it.
that they would do some kind of like stage with the show or whatever, because then people can actually fucking see it. But the way they have it set up already, it's very much like how Hellbilly had that big projector in the
Mm-hmm.
center.
It also at least does look like it's probably just going to be like a Megan in the zone at a time,
Yeah,
and not like a horde of Megans, which makes it a bit more manageable. Um, but yeah, it can't be like last year because that's kind of the biggest name of the property right now as far as like draws, right? So being like, she shows up occasionally, I won't tell you when, not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. So I really do hope she does have kind of a dedicated space to be Megan. I would say I hope that she can also just fully roam. I don't know if I trust that, but it would
yeah.
be the best for flow.
I
If it
do
puts
hope
the scare actor in danger, then absolutely not.
I do hope that it's not just the properties that are in the key art and that are listed. Like they have so many more Blumhouse movies that they could pull from. I want to see Bagul in the Zone from
Hmm.
Sinister.
Yeah,
Like I want to see some shit we either haven't seen at HHN in a while or we've never seen
yeah.
that's in their catalog.
If we have to have this, I want to see the fucking coolest characters,
Yeah.
and not the characters we see. Like, listen, Purge. How many fucking times have I seen Purge
Yeah. We're
at the
gonna have to
event?
see a
Come
Purge
on.
character, but like give us something else as
Hmm.
well.
I know a character I want to see.
It's not happening.
No, I've given up on that, to be honest.
Good choice.
I have. Here's a question though, right? We're talking about Megan. We're talking about the zone. Do we think this cancels out a potential roaming Megan show around, like on the other side of the park, or do we think that doesn't matter and they could just do
Oh,
both?
I would wager that that will not happen now. I think this is the Megan presence at the event, and that's what they're gonna roll with.
Boo.
I don't think Megan was worth the trouble the way they did it last year.
No, probably not.
For from an operational standpoint, at least.
If we're talking like guest satisfaction, people love that show. There are people
Hmm.
who'd wait in an area to like try to see it. If you see any Megan dancing video on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, it gets like a couple thousand views and likes and
Hmm.
whatever. People loved it. So just
And and
you
then you have
know
the other token where people hated it because they never saw it, even though they wanted to.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Megan does well on TikTok because Megan was created for TikTok.
Oh
I
yeah.
think
Oh yeah.
they definitely, when they created that character, and added like a few of those iconic scenes, they knew what they were doing. That was some viral marketing stuff. So it makes
Hmm.
sense that having a Megan live in a theme park setting is obviously going to do well on the the platform as well.
And I don't expect that to change this year either. I think just even if they have one out on a small stage in the scare zone, it's still going to do the job. It's still going to hit on TikTok. So,
Yeah.
all right.
So
Yeah,
for
go
both,
ahead.
this is really for both coasts, for both things that we're going to talk about because they're literally the same thing. So I think we can just combine it into one, and I guess just keep it in this particular section for Orlando, but it's for both really. That key art, we have to talk about that. What the fuck is that?
It
For both coasts, it's the same thing. Just one has a tram, one doesn't. It looks like the characters are like very badly photoshopped in there.
it's almost like they were.
Mhm.
It looks so bad. Like the freaky serial killer, the butcher. It's just like I think you made the joke, Duff, that I threw on Twitter. Just like looks like, Mom, I threw up, like that meme. It's
Hmm.
it's so it feels like how the zone feels, just kind of, or like how it's seeming like just sort of soulless IP, just mashup.
I mean, I don't have much to say about it because you hit the nail on the head. It is a soulless IP mashup. That's what it is. And listen, the scare actors can make it their own, and it could be a lot of fun because of that. But what is being delivered? No, no, that's not what's fun about HHN, for me at least.
Hmm. But now we're ready to move on to also
No,
talking about
no,
Blumhouse.
no, no more Blumhouse. I'm sorry.
We got more. It's time to head over to HHN Hollywood to
Boy,
talk
I wonder
about.
where they could be.
I wonder. I wonder. We have another announcement to discuss. Another announcement, also Blumhouse related. It is also called Enter the Blumhouse, but this time it is the Terror Tram for the event, which was announced officially on the website the same time the other announcement was, but was like announced on Twitter like so late at night. Like it was such a weird rollout. But I'm gonna read the description now because and you're gonna think it's very similar because it is. And that is the most terrifying characters from Blumhouse have taken over the Terror Tram. Face the murderous android Megan, the sinister grabber from the Black Phone, the serial killer from Freaky, and more. Basically, almost copy paste from the Orlando Scare Zone.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, and more. Oh, okay, yay. Maybe you'll get your Chauncey.
Maybe Holly will have Chauncey exclusive.
At least like the Scare Zone had like sort of like fun wording to it. This is really just like this is who you're gonna see. Okay, there will be more too.
Remember that serial killer from Freaky? No. Well, he's gonna be there.
Yeah, why'd they call him the
This-
he's called the Butcher.
Yeah.
the serial killer from
Like, he has a
Freaky.
fucking name. Like, he has a serial killer name in the fucking movie. I would have rather them said Vince Vaughn from Freaky.
I would have loved that.
Like, what the fuck? They're acting like this wasn't a fucking house a couple years ago.
I. mm. Um, I guess the only cool thing about this is it came with an announcement video, so it's got that going for it a bit. Which I don't think it was the best of them, but overall, the announcement videos were very at least fine across the board. This is one of those kind of lower level but still solid announcement videos. It's also a pretty standard Terror Tram one, right?
Hmm. Yeah, just, you're dropped off at the Terror Tram. Something crazy happens. Uh-oh. You're gonna die.
And then he
And
gets
then it
pulled
ends.
into the Blumhouse.
Dun
Yeah.
dun dun.
Wow.
He enters the Blumhouse.
Oh, yeah. Just like
Mm,
we'll have the displeasure of doing very soon.
twice.
Can't wait.
I'm
Love
sorry.
Blumhouse.
If you're listening to this and you're excited for this, I'm so sorry for my attitude towards this property. It's not even the property as a whole. It's just this integration of the property into HHN. It it could not be less exciting for me. I don't know if I can stress that enough.
I do kind of understand why HHN kept fumbling the fucking ball with Blumhouse now. If it was just to announce this shit.
You know what? They probably had the butcher from Freaky and Blumhouse was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What if people don't know? You got to put something else. They're like, okay. The serial killer? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not just a butcher. I also kill people.
It's true.
To keep maybe the excitement for Blumhouse down just a tad, this will not include what was many people's favorite part of the Terror Tram the past couple of years, and that is going through Jupiter's Claim. I should say it's not included unless you're an RIP, so nothing else.
I don't know anybody who's going in RIP.
But yeah, so taking out the most popular set from the past couple of years, uninspired IP on the Terror Tram, people just being less excited about the Terror Tram in general now. Eh, Terror Tram's not at its peak, to say the least.
No. I part of me kind of understands when we get to the next part, where in this section here, where I think we are replacing Jupiter's with something else. Maybe. I'm still not 100% sure. This is like pure guessing on my part. Where last year, the special thing for RIP, besides the meet and greet with the grabber, on the tram itself, was we got to go through a special exclusive extra little mini maze. They built a little set. Some people got to take pictures with Larry Larva. We didn't know we could do that, but apparently you could. And I would have liked to do that.
What?
But yeah.
I want a refund on
and
last year's
that's,
RIP tour.
yeah, I wish we knew that. But anyway, but you got to take the picture, and there was a scary maze where all the actors were in there, and they were absolutely wrecking your shit. Probably one of the scariest parts of the night for a lot of us. And that was RIP exclusive, and then everyone got to do the Jupiter's Claim. However, construction update from Kevin, our friend Kevin, sees that there is another mini maze being built in a similar area that it was last year for the RIP. And part of me wonders if we're flipping the amenities. Like, instead of RIP getting the mini maze that's exclusive, they get Jupiter's that's exclusive, but everyone gets the mini maze in addition to the other maze.
Hmm.
I mean, the ending thing that they have, the Terror Tram has like some cool ending section, usually, not always, but usually. And I'm not too mad about the switch if this is true and RIP doesn't just get both, if it's literally just a fair switch and just a reverse card almost.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, at least for me, I love experiencing Jupiter's Claim. I think that's a very cool thing. And it's a unique part of the Terror Tram now, and walking on that set and seeing the actors, it's so cool. But it really doesn't have to do anything with the theme of the Terror Tram at all. Like, it's just sort of its own separate thing. The first year it did, but now it's its own separate thing. And I could see why maybe they go, hey, maybe everyone should be able to do another thing that's related to the Terror Tram, related to this specific theme we have. And RIP can get the extra thing that's not related to the theme. And that's my thought process on why they might be doing this.
I think, to be fair, that would be at least a valuable replacement, right? Get an extra experience out of it fully. I don't know if the general public will still be happy about that, because they of course didn't get the full like house build out. That was kind of fully for RIP last year, and more like half the house was for everyone. Uh, and the reception wasn't too great by the general public to the like house aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they'd still like that. I think it sounds like a pretty fair thing, but I guess that's to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird. I've watched construction videos recently, like showing the maze being put up, and it doesn't look big enough to hold like the massive amounts of crowds that can go through the Terror Tram. I haven't personally seen, especially last year. There was barely anybody, I feel like.
Hmm.
And even like RIP, we go with other groups like through the tour. You get dropped off and then you kind of catch up with people. So, like, I just worry that it might be too small to hold the general public because it's not very big.
Hmm.
I don't know.
It could also just be for RIP. Like, they haven't said
Yeah.
anything about this part yet.
That is
I'm
true.
sure
Oh,
if you ask Murdy, he'd be like, I'll tell you. Sure, maybe someone should ask Murdy about what that is, if that's for everyone or just RIP.
I wonder if it's gonna be like how how we had the grabber like experience and we had the little like mini maze.
Hmm.
I
Mhm.
wonder if we're maybe not getting like a meet and greet this year, and it's
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
just get.
a mini maze and the walkthrough
Hmm.
Jupiter's Claim.
And then the general public just loses something and doesn't get anything
Yeah,
replaced.
sucks to be the general public, I guess. I don't know.
As someone from Orlando, the Terror Tram is so unique, and like I always enjoy that aspect of it. I would so happily go back to like what they did in 2019, sacrifice the Terror Tram, and get another house out of it.
Mhm.
and I think then they got an extra 2 houses out of it. So
Yep.
I would take that trade off all day. Terror
Yeah.
Tram's again unique, but it's not always great. That's for sure.
The thing is, I'm still afraid for them to do that because when they did do that 1 year, um, you could tell the budget was stretched so thin, like so thin that there were so many houses that just had so many black walls.
I
And
mean, that happens every year.
but even more if you but like
I,
that
I,
year looked really, I don't know. I don't know. I might be
I
going
mean,
crazy.
listen, you could be right, but to me, it feels like it's not like how they. It's not stretching the budget. It's how they choose to use their budget. It feels like typically, and a lot of times they seem to make sacrifices on houses purposely. And I don't think it matters how many houses you have. They're going to make those sacrifices to flesh out the one that Murdy really wants to nail. You know.
Mhm.
Again, you could be right, and it really could have been just like, oh, we don't have enough money to fucking flesh any of these houses out. But they also had some really good houses that year too. So
Yeah. Who
don't know.
knows?
I don't think it's gonna happen anyways, so we probably won't find out. But maybe one day down the line. But there is one more Hollywood announcement that we can move on to. This time for everyone's favorite show, The Purge: Dangerous Waters, which honestly was a fun, high energy show, a good experience last year. This year, the description is the fiery stunt spectacular puts you in the world of The Purge like you've never seen it before. Um, I'll be honest, if it's basically the same show and the fact that we only go to Hollywood one night, I can skip it. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, kind of the same. Like, I know we're going with people who didn't get to see it on this trip, but I would, depending on how I feel about the houses, I might take up like going through Monstrose and Quiet Place again while they watch it. We'll see.
A Quiet Place. Oh, I didn't expect
Because
that
that's
one to
up
come out
there.
of your
I was
mouth.
just saying what's up there.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I'm not going to go down on the lower lot and like leave them up on the upper lot, you know?
Or you can go in the RIP line for margaritas.
Well, I figured that was going to be the first stop if it was you and I before
Oh,
we went. Yeah,
yeah,
I
fair,
know us.
fair, fair, fair.
I'm surprised none of us on the podcast commented that the description is missing the, and then at the end enjoy like a purge EDM dance party section. Like remember that last sentence
No,
in
I
the
don't.
description. You
I
don't?
must have blocked that out of my mind because I honestly
Yeah.
don't.
That was like the funniest thing that we were all pointed out. Like, why does it like like it was gonna have like EDM music or something, and
Don't
that's where
remember.
like what is going on? That's what made us the most interested about this show before we saw it. And then at the end of the show, it didn't really do that. But
I was interested in EDM music.
no, there
What?
was something weird. Like maybe I'm
I
thinking.
remember, Jonathan. I remember
I
Okay,
you said
believe
something
you. I
about
just
like
don't remember.
something about a weird EDM dance party. Like I do remember that.
Huh.
yeah, there we go.
Ugh.
I fully believe you because you have the best memory on out of the four of us. Like
And
I just did
it
not.
was kind of there in the show, like at
Oh
the
yeah.
end.
Hmm.
Oh, it
for
definitely
like
was there.
for like a minute, they showed it, and it was very funny.
EDM dance
minute.
party is also the most Hollywood thing they could possibly do.
Oh, it's like putting a Z on the end of their scare zones.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you guys. I'm probably going for two. I mean, I am. I'm going for 2 days this year. One day RAP, one day just Express, and the second day I might do it. I still don't. It depends on the houses and how I feel about them and whatever. I think it's a really cool show. Compare this to Jabberwockies, and I think a lot of people are going to choose this. I think a lot of people who are just in Hollywood and go to Hollywood are very happy about this. Um, and I think it makes sense to bring it back. I hope they make some changes. I don't need to see it again, but I'm sure a lot of people are very happy to see it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. So I think for the sake of time, we are going to hold on to construction updates in Hollywood and just kind of pack them in next week, probably, because we have a pretty big announcement to finish off with here,
Hmm.
and kind of what makes this whole dedication of an episode so perfect and special. Um, so Jonathan, I think out of all the people who should take this announcement, probably you. So go ahead, enjoy it.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. So this is the final house announcement for HHN Hollywood. and it happened, I think, 2 hours or an hour around after the Blumhouse Scare Zone announcement for Orlando. We all were expecting the only thing to be announced that day to be the Blumhouse tram, and for this to be announced later, but it was announced the same day, and it is the Weeknd Nightmare Trilogy, which we're going to get into it right now. The description says The Weeknd returns in a new haunted house spawned from After Hours, Dawn FM, and a horrifying new tale. Get ensnared by the most iconic moments inspired by his music videos and live performances.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the description doesn't say it. It says horrifying new tale, but come on, guys. It's the third album. It's the third album in the trilogy.
Yeah, if you're not keeping up with that, it is very much releasing around this exact time frame, so it is perfect. Matches up really well, and I think that really adds a fun element because there's definitely something you would not have caught in the last Weekend House. Like there's a whole new element and story being added into this one.
Yep. And I mean, I'm really excited for this. There's so much to talk about. Um I'm curious what you guys think about the house featuring After Hours, which we've seen before, but also the other two albums, Dawn FM and hopefully a big part of the house, but we'll see of the new album. How are you feeling about the full trilogy being a part of this house instead of just focusing on one thing?
I
I
think
think
it's really exciting. I'm going to be honest. I I didn't expect it. I really thought we were going to only get After Hours and Dawn FM to get to the new album. That's really exciting news. I think that really makes this house much more like one of the main draws and attractions of the year. I am shocked that we didn't get it. To be honest with you, the fact that it's a Hollywood exclusive, pretty shocking.
Abel just likes to hang out with John Murdy, apparently. But yeah, I'm basically in the same exact place you are, Mike. Where I think it's an exciting house to bring, but also surprising in the way they're doing it. I was not confident that they were going to be bringing an album that is not only currently not released, but currently unannounced. We don't know much about it outside of a few teasers. Uh, so it's pretty surprising that they're really going to time up this album launch with a house. And I think that adds so many more layers and elements to what we can get out of this. Because if it was just After Hours and Dawn FM, I'd be a little bit more down on it than I am now. Just because, like, well, we kind of saw that, but now it got something completely new. I also hope they really play into Dawn FM a bit more aesthetically. That'll help as well. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'm sure that's not surprising to anyone, but I can't wait to see this.
I was just gonna let everybody be positive and keep my opinions to myself.
No, that's not allowed.
I know. I was trying to find positive things to say. I really was. I just feel like it's gonna be Murdy regurgitating a lot of the things we've already seen, and I that's just because that's what I know Murdy loves to do.
Hmm.
So I, as someone who needs a break from the weekend, and yes, we could all argue that last year I had one. Um, his song was still the fucking WrestleMania theme song, so I technically did not have a break. Just would like to point that out. I think it has not been long enough to justify doing something based off After Hours again. And I know that you like Dawn FM obviously in this new one, but why are we even like jumbling After Hours into it then if we've already done that? So I just kind of wish it was just Dawn FM in the new. So
I'm,
Marty could not regurgitate.
I'm gonna be honest. I had the same like thought as you at first like, when I saw After Hours again because I'm like, oh, okay, why? We not only had we did the album, we had a full house based on it. We covered almost every beat of the album, not everything, but we got the story across. We went super detailed, but I think adding the final album to this makes it makes it make sense. Like, I don't want so many rooms to be after hours. I really just want it to be like hopefully just the intro. And then you move forward on, just like a couple rooms. But if we're actually the whole point of this house is doing the trilogy, every album is super important in telling that story. I mean, After Hours is the death and the suffering. Dawn FM is dealing with it, and you're in purgatory and all that. And then the next album is rumored to be the afterlife. What happens after you face all your demons and sit with it. And I don't know if the story that hopefully is told well. I think it will be because he's working with Abel. That is, he said that is I think this story will be told well, and I don't think it would be able to be told as well if we didn't have that after hours part in it. Like I think that's an essential part in order to even get this story across. But yeah, there is worry that there might be some repeated things, especially in the after hours sections. But Murdy seems to have like repeatedly stated this is a new house, like this is just new, like new whatever. We'll get to that in a little bit when we get to the Murdy details. But I have faith, and I don't think they just do after hours again, especially because once again, I'm sure the Weeknd is all over this thing and wants it to be proper, considering it's essentially going to help promote his not doesn't help promote his album that much, but it is a part of promotion for the album. I'm sure he's going to make sure that everything is told in the way that he wants it to be told.
I sure hope so, because I don't fully believe that the last house was how he wanted it to be told. And that's where I think you guys are letting your weekend love kind of, well, I don't want to speak for everyone, but maybe Jonathan, you're letting that blind you a little bit with your hope here. It's still John Murray at the end of the day. That's my thing. Like, I don't know. And then we're getting something new. To me, that sets off like alarms that it's going to be like Exorcist Believer, where he saw a movie that wasn't what came out. So I
Mhm.
don't know. To me, like, I'm just not going to be excited over this property regardless. Like, I'm happy to get a music house. That's always going to be good because I'm a music person. I'm happy for that, but this was not something that I needed on my 2024, HHN bingo card, and I'm just not going to be hype. And I'm excited that people are, but this does not excite me, especially with like I have not listened to either two album all the way through. I've listened to what I was told to listen to for the houses. So, I'm not going to listen to this new one. It's not going to be something I do for my homework. So, I'm sorry, y'all know I'm not going to be the weekend hype girl.
That
I
makes
will
sense.
say that also hits two very like real concerns for anybody on any plane. One
Yeah.
being after hours. Is he just going to basically say, "Here it is again," and maybe even overdo it because it's an easy
Yeah.
approach? It's already created. Also, what has he heard and seen from this new album?
Yeah.
We don't know how
Mhm.
much he knows and how well he can depict it. I think that's my biggest concern. I would hope with the weekend working on it directly that that's not going to be an issue. But if he hasn't seen like visuals, like music videos, which probably hasn't, maybe one potentially is already available to him. Maybe he hasn't even heard the whole album. Maybe that wasn't available to him. We don't know. And I think that's probably the biggest concern. I would think if he had basically full access to what he needed, then I'm not as worried. But we don't know if he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can move on to the key art, which is obviously a take on After Hours Nightmare key art, but not as good, I dare say. It loses
No.
the simplicity and also is still more simple at the same time. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying. It just looks off in a way.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's kind of hard to say. Like it is in the similar style, and and whatever it looks. I don't, it's not the best. It's not the best. I hope that on the whatever merch they have for it, it's not this, and they have some other design and whatnot. It's it's whatever. It's not what I particularly wanted out of the key art, but you know.
I will say I was listening to or watching the Hunt Lives live stream the other day, and if you haven't seen what the key art is, it's basically After Hours Abel, Dawn FM Abel, and what's presumably this new album's Abel, and he's like young now, like a child, uh, and they are referring to him as Little Babel. So I love that that came out of it. I don't love Lil Babel himself on this key art, but I love Lil Babel.
There we go.
It
Are we
did,
ready to move? Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Go for it. You take it. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. We were. I was okay. I was gonna say we're ready to move on to the announcement video that we got for this house. And I mean it's pretty simple, right? It shows Universal Studios Hollywood, and just shows the sites of Universal Studios Hollywood, and then all of a sudden the nurses from After Hours pop up, and they take a body to a mysterious, sort of hospital setting, and are doing, various stitching and lots of medical stuff on it or whatever, and then they you see that they almost do like an It's Alive with Frankenstein and pull down a lever, and then a bunch of electricity starts going off, and then the camera pans out and you see what the body was, and it was the Weekend, but not exactly as you remember him. Half of him is the After Hours Weekend. The other half is the Dawn FM Weekend, the sort of the old man Weekend, and he sort of wakes up and stitches back together. And the camera also pans out to another like medical sheet, medical rack or whatever in blood, and it says the Weekend, the Weekend returns, and and then at the end, when the announcer's like, "The Weekend's coming to Halloween Horror Nights again. Here we go." He also says on the actual image, music curated by Mike Dean and The Weeknd, which, if you guys know, Mike Dean did all of the remixes for a lot of, I mean, almost all of his stuff, but specifically the remixes for the After Hours Nightmare versions of the house. So this and another comment Murdy says later confirms that we are also going to get those remix versions of songs they choose for this house as well.
Hmm. That is very exciting. It was the most exciting part of the announcement video for me. It's kind of another one of those, along with the territory one, where it's like, yeah, it shows off the property well. I think it's fine enough. It's solid. It didn't have some of like that additional story and impactful moments like we were kind of spoiled with some of the earlier announcement videos. Uh, so not too much to say about it. It was fine. Definitely did the job for what the property is.
Yeah. It was definitely just a, "Hey, get ready, he's coming back" type thing. Didn't need much, didn't do much more than that. For me, it worked for me. I was like, "Oh my god, Weekend. Look, it's half and half. That's so cool." Like, it just hit me, and it still does, cuz I'm just like, I really love this property, but for like people who don't necessarily care, they're probably like, "All right, it's cool." Like this is fine. It doesn't really convince you to want to care about the house compared to the ones that have stories like Quiet Place and Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. Weird to say that, but that's true. And so yeah.
Um, Now with that, there are a bunch more details, and that comes from a specific segment that's not technically listed on the outline, but Jess, I think it still counts if you'd like to.
Many tweets, many tweets.
That's right.
Yeah, we're back.
So he did confirm something that we've kind of known for a little bit now, based off everything else located location wise, that this will be in Soundstage 15. Um, Yay, exciting. Uh, Also, if you go back to what he was doing previously throughout the year, of course, we keep up with Murdy. We have this segment. Uh, he took a secret trip to LA in January, which we were speculating. Ooh, who's he meeting with? It had to be something IPUIs, right? He confirmed this was the one. It was a secret meeting, secret location for a secret project that is secret no more. So him and Lil Babel met up and came up with this concept and came to a deal, I guess.
There has to be a good reason to fly to Ireland. Another, I mean, this is another interesting part because we talked about this on the podcast a lot, and we're talking about all those Alice in Wonderland references that he's had. Um, that he just kept teasing Alice in Wonderland in many different forms. And now with this tweet, he said, and all those I feel like I fell down a rabbit hole comments were in regard to this house when I was designing it. I literally kept waking up at 5 a.m. with gasoline in my head. It's 5 a.m. in my mind again. So Alice in Wonderland was actually related to the Weekend house.
I never would have guessed that, and I didn't guess it, obviously, as what he was referring to. That's for sure. I want to go back and see if anyone did. Like someone got it right somewhere, right? Like someone just threw out the Weekend, and we probably all giggled at it. I'm sure.
I know I think there were people in the Discord like, yeah, the rabbit hole, it sounds like sort of Dawn FM, like purgatory, that type of stuff. Like there were people who guessed it, not in the exact way, because this is just like this has nothing to do with really anything besides a song stuck in Murdy's head, kind of. But but yeah, there are some people who threw it out there, but I mean, it's cool. It's really cool, and I'd rather this than an Alice in Wonderland house. I'm not gonna lie, so I'm happy it was this.
He was also asked, "Will the house start where it ended after the after hours beat and going into Until I Bleed Out?" He says, "No, all new theme." So it really isn't going to directly tie into the last house, at least not in the sense that it's picking up as like a sequel.
Which makes sense.
Hmm.
I get that. It's good, honestly, for this type of thing when you want it to encompass everything. It makes sense to just sort of start it off. Not gonna say fresh, but I mean, yeah, just start it off fresh, still after hours, but start this particular story the way you want to instead of following the past one.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. He also confirmed it will have no music from The Idol. Mike, as the person I know on this show who is a fellow Idol watcher, you think an Idol house could have been scarier? Honestly,
Yeah, no, I was thinking that when they were talking about like music from Mike Dean. I was like, Mike Dean from the Idol. Like, no, yeah, I do think it would be more scary. It's scary. You could have there was a lot of iconic scenes you could have.
yeah, it'd be terrifying. Probably a little too rapey for HHN,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
definitely terrifying. That's for sure.
I'd like them to build a SoFi Stadium in a soundstage.
Or they could just build the house in SoFi. Look at that.
There you go.
Boom. Your finale, you take a van down to SoFi just to finish it up. He also did mention the facade from Singapore's After Hours Till Dawn house was used for inspiration, but it's still pretty different, which I think is pretty good. I like the route they took. I don't think the execution was great in Singapore.
If Hollywood can do that, but like on a bigger budget and not just have it be a flat, um, I think that's very exciting.
Hmm. I do worry it's still going to be a flat, just a much
It could
more
be.
expensive, better looking version of the flat. So that would be fine. I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, like honestly, part of me was thinking like, what if they just tried to do the tour stage, like the After Hours tour, like actual stage where it had like almost like the broken down buildings and it looked more realistic and stuff like that. Which I mean they could do because that is technically sort of like this in a way. That could be what Murdy's sort of saying. But if it is sort of the Murdy goes for the Super Bowl type look, that's also exciting. When we were first thinking about After Hours as a house, that's I think what a lot of people were thinking what the facade was going to be because it's an iconic. I mean, it's an iconic weekend thing related to After Hours in some way. So if we actually end up going that route and have a basically Super Bowl stage facade. I mean, that's exciting. I really think that could be end up looking really cool.
Hmm. Definitely. He also confirmed that videos in the queue and the facade is the whole thing with a live performer. So I don't know, that sounds pretty cool. I'm into that. Obviously, videos in the queue were a thing last time. The facade having a live performer with it, that's a fun addition. Does he mean facade like last year though, or like outside of the facade? 'Cause I guess that could go either way.
I think so, yeah. But I'm still excited. I'm trying to figure out what that live performer would be doing. Like I'd assume it's the Weeknd. I don't know who else it would be.
I would hope so. It's Mike Dean, the actual Mike
Mike
Dean.
D.
Mike Dean, made famous by The Idol.
He's remixing the songs like in person right there. Like he's just doing it on the spot.
Every night. Poor Mike. That's all right, pal. You'll make it. He mentioned
If
that
there was no season 2 of The Idol, he needs to get his money somehow.
Yeah, where was that paycheck? He was expecting that.
Right.
Abel promised him it was a work of art. It was not. That's for sure. John also mentioned his 2 favorite Dawn FM tracks are Gasoline and Less Than Zero. Hey, great choice on the second one there, pal.
Oh yay! Both were theme songs for WrestleMania.
Maybe John Marty likes wrestling.
Oh,
Do
you
we-
would think with
Yeah.
the zone that's coming.
That's true. Oh, there we go. Look at you and John Marty could have a great conversation about
No.
wrestling and probably nothing else.
I don't know if I could find a nice thing. Okay, moving on.
He was asked, is Until I Bleed Out or Phantom Regret by Jim Carrey used? If you don't know, those are kind of like closing songs for the albums, After Hours and Dawn FM. And he said, in the process of clearing all that, but that's the intent, which I am excited about. Phantom Regret is more of like a story told by Jim Carrey over an instrumental, and it's great. And I wanted them to use it, but didn't think they would. So that is actually exciting news for me if they can get that in there.
It's shocking. I mean, that's I mean, you don't think they would because it's Jim Carrey. Like, you know, like that's a whole other ball game of rights and stuff. And I have a feeling that's what he's talking about in this comment. Like, hopefully we can get that cleared. You know, if not, you know, I get it, you know. But I hope we can, because that would, I mean, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And they can use that in such a cool like way. Like, even if, because Hollywood does do these things where it's just a black hallway with light and it has like some sound, you know, either music or narration or whatever. I'm going to be real honest. It's such a simple thing and it's so Hollywood. But if they just had that black hallway, but like a blue or like or a hopeful light or something, maybe on not blue, you could even do, there's like heaven's light, you know, shining down upon you, and just have Jim Carrey's Phantom Regret playing in there before you enter the next album. That could honestly be a pretty damn good transition.
Now,
it's simple, but I mean,
the way you put that, that is a concern, is that it's not cleared yet. What if they don't get it? Is this a scene that really is ambiguous and could go with anything? Because then, I mean, I guess it's not as exciting because it's not meant to really fit Phantom Regret that much. So, or is it going to be a song that just doesn't fit the scene now?
Sacrifice plays in there.
Oh boy, we didn't get enough of that. And then to end our Murray tweet segment, he clears up something that I know was on everyone's mind. It is not based on the Weeknd album Trilogy. Wow, who would have thought? Although I guess that is confusing terminology because he actually does have an album called Trilogy. So,
I did not know that.
Murdy got the whole
what?
The whole what was that?
I didn't know that.
Huh.
Oh yes, he does.
I don't know his discography.
It's before he was big. It was like a combination of 3 EPs that made an album before he was huge. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, sorry. My headphones, I can't hear things sometimes. But what is it? No, the whole story with this little thing here was that someone said, "Hey, next time you make a Weeknd house, can you make it based on the Trilogy?" And John Murdy's like, "What are you talking about? It is. It is based on the Trilogy." And they're like, "No, I mean the album Trilogy."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, well, this one's based on these ones, so I don't know."
And then it got funnier because there were comments like, No, he said it's not. I was like, they're asking if he can. Oh God, it became such a mess. I felt bad for that person. They're like, no, I was asking if you can later. Please stop attacking
Oh
me.
my god.
But that is it. That's an announcement that provides yet another dabble of Abel. The Weekend Nightmare trilogy. Any last minute, last second thoughts? Any excitement for this? Well, we don't need to talk about excitement. We already did that.
I'm going to go in with a positive outlook like I did for the house in Orlando and for the one in Hollywood. So I know I talk shit, but that's the whole gimmick with me in the Weekend. So nobody get mad at me. I'm going to
It's a
rank it where I
shtick.
rank. It's a gimmick.
It's a real shtick, but it's a shtick.
It is real. But I don't actually hate him. Like Eugene will laugh because you here. I'm gonna reveal a secret. Sometimes I listen to his music in the car if it comes on.
Whoa.
Sometimes I have a couple songs that were not WrestleMania theme songs that were not in the house. So
Okay, fair.
cautiously optimistic, but I am who I am and I can't change that.
All right, Popeye. All right. So before we get to our full outro, I do just want to remind a couple things going on here. HHN 365 live trivia is happening August 23rd, and the big thing for that is we will have some Dabble of Able buttons, hopefully, available at that time. If not, we're going to figure out a different way to have them available online. Uh, but if you'd like to make a donation towards Brandon and his family, it's a great way to do it because you can receive a button in return. If not, of course, his GoFundMe is in the description of this episode, or you can find that on our Twitter account as well. And we'd appreciate, even if you can't donate, just sharing. That definitely goes a long way. So, yeah, thank you for even considering it.
All right, well, that just about wraps it up. As always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at HHN365 and on TikTok at HHN365pod. We have a Discord. The link is in the description. And you can check out our merch shop at HHN365.com. You can always leave us a voicemail at 906 or 407 906 4134, and we'll see you in the streets.